got the tablets. Go, go, go. Oh my god. Volk and the dead, they're rising. They're coming after us.
Welcome to the Twisted Tentacle Inn. I'm your Innkeeper Vase Odin, and today we'll be talking about Leo Anderson, the expedition leader. Although not much is known about Leo's origins, his expeditions are well documented. A lot of them have ended in the deaths of many of his companions, and his latest expedition can only be described as tragic and disastrous. Leo was hired by Dr. Phillips of Miskatonic University to lead an expedition into Nan Madol to recover Olsopha's Almanac, a group of ancient tablets that held the secret to Relaya's fate, and also foretold a major cataclysmic event. The thought that the findings could save lives is the main reason Leo accepted the job. His guilt for men he'd lost in past expeditions was a strong motivator. Throughout the journey, Leo's expedition encountered many setbacks, supply issues, mechanical problems with his ship, known as the Kaiser Drake, and even one of his men was stabbed in a bar in Hawaii. But nothing could compare to what was about to happen. Even before reaching their destination, the hair on Leo's back began to rise just by looking at the maps Dr. Phillips had provided. Sketches of half-men, half-fish people seemed like warnings to those curious to find the lost cities. But the expedition's expert, Dr. Volk, didn't seem to have any apprehension. Just the opposite. He seemed almost giddy with the possibility of their findings. Volk's quiet assistant, Nils, seemed to hold little emotion. Leo's right-hand man, Mitch Brown, saw Nils speaking to a shadow in the water one night, and when Nils noticed Mitch, he quickly stopped what he was doing. It was after this that Leo started to distrust Dr. Volk and Nils' true motives for the expedition. The distrust became suspicion when a dozen crew members were slaughtered in the middle of the night after they had arrived at their island destination, Nan Madol. Leo and his expedition were out drinking on the island that night, and Dr. Volk and Nils were the only ones that survived the attack on the ship. The dead crew were mangled, and their blood was used to paint weird symbols on their foreheads and chests. The expedition headed deep into the island jungle for the next couple of days, eventually coming up on flooded city ruins that seemed to have been built for both men and fish. Once they found the ruins, they seemed to have set off a trap, as water began flooding the area where Leo and the rest of the expedition stood. The men ran into an area where a large coffin lay. They opened the slab, hoping it would lead out, but black, foul-smelling water began to seep out of the coffin. At this moment, Dr. Volk stabbed the group's guide in the neck and began shooting at the others. Some of the men went mad instantly, while others didn't stand a chance and were swept away by the rushing water or were killed by Volk. Mitch Brown grabbed the tablets that lay inside, realizing this was the object of their expedition. He ran for an opening, with Leo covering their escape. As he ran through the island, Leo looked back long enough to see Volk, wrapped in seaweed, rise from the waters with the men that drowned walking behind him. They were aggressively chasing after Leo and Mitch. The pair got away, but Mitch has begun showing signs of madness. Leo turned the tablets into the Miskatonic University, but when he did, he heard that the man who had hired him, Dr. Phillips, had disappeared just a few days before. Grisly and unnatural events seemed to follow whenever the tablets were involved. Leo had only hoped that the expedition had not awakened something they should have left slumbering. In Arkham Horror the card game, Leo Anderson is a dual-class Guardian Rogue, primary class being Guardian, with a 4 in both combat and willpower, a 3 in intellect, and a 1 in agility. His special ability is a reaction. After your turn begins, you can play an ally asset, reducing its cost by 1. It's basically an additional action that you get should you have an ally in your hand. This is a really good ability. His Elder Sign ability is a +2, and you can search the top 3 cards of your deck for an ally asset and draw it, and you can reshuffle your deck. He's got an 8 in health and a 6 in sanity. His deck building requirements, his deck size is 30 cards, and he can take Guardian cards from level 0 to 5, Rogue cards from 0 to 2, and neutral cards from 0 to 5. And he gets his special cards Mitch Brown and Bottom Blood and a random basic weakness, which we'll talk about his special cards in just a moment. Now, you'll notice there is another dual class Guardian Rogue in the game, and that is Skids O'Toole, and you can check out my video on him. The deck building requirements are flipped, so you get primary Guardian and secondary Rogue with Leo Anderson. Now, what makes their decks so different, even though they have such similar card pools? Well, it all boils down to the stat lines, to be honest. Leo's agility being so low, he doesn't want to take cards that rely on that stat. Cards like Backstab or Sneak Attack really aren't going to make a big difference when played in a Leo deck. Instead, he opts for cards from the Rogue pool that either get you more resources, help you draw cards, or do other things like allow you some additional movement within the board. And add to this his special abilities that and special cards that kind of want him to have a lot of allies. And you've kind of got an idea of what to do when building a Leo Anderson deck. His signature card is Mitch Brown, his second in command and sole survivor. He gives you 2 additional ally slots, which can only be used to hold non-unique allies. So when you have Mitch Brown in play, you can play other non-unique allies like the dogs or the beat cops, which we'll go over in just a moment. But you can't have unique allies like Leo DeLuca or Brother Xavier. You can't have them in addition to Mitch unless you have Charisma in play or another card that lets you have multiple unique allies. Now, his signature weakness, Bot and Blood, basically you have to discard an ally asset from play, or if you can't, then you discard every ally from your hand, and if you don't discard any assets, it gets reshuffled into your deck. This is not very punishing at all. Leo usually has, dozens of allies that he can play. The only time it can be very punishing is if you have a lot of allies in your hand and none in play, then you'll have to discard all of them. But, that's kind of a rare thing for this to happen. So overall, it's not really very, very punishing. It's a very light weakness. Now, in terms of deck building for Leo, I think it's pretty obvious that you'll want to be picking ally cards, so specifically non-unique allies. So Guard Dog is one of the good choices. Not only does this absorb damage for you and let you go about your business and do other things, but it can hit back. So if something hits you, you can still do damage while you're investigating or whatnot. Beat Cop is another great one, especially the higher level Beat Cop that you can use as a free action to deal damage to an enemy. Those are great and they're non-unique, and combined with Trusted, you can add more damage to their output, because the more health they have, both of these non-unique allies will be able to dish out more damage the more health that they have. Free damage cards also work really well in Leo's decks. Dynamite Blast is a great example. It's very thematic with him, plus you can afford it in terms of resources, and you can also take the hit because you have so many disposable allies. You could just bomb your own location and just kill one of your dogs off, and then kill all the enemies around you. And of course, about 99% of the Leo decks that I've seen have Charisma in them as one of the first upgrades, because for obvious reasons you want to have more allies on the table at the same time, and this will help you achieve that. Plus, if you want more unique allies, that'll help you do that, because Mitch Brown again takes up that slot. Now, one quick thing about Venturer that's a great non-unique ally that'll let you add more supplies to a card. Some people have built their Leo decks around a lot of weapons, specifically firearms like shotgun, and Venturer is a great card to be able to get more ammo on those weapons. And he's an ally, so you can play him for free at the beginning of a round and then use his free ability to add more ammunition. And of course, the Rogue card pool lets him have cards that'll give him more resources, and a card called Liquid Courage, which with his high willpower is going to be great to help him keep his sanity. So in conclusion, I think Leo is a very solid choice for an investigator. Unlike other guardians that deal lots of damage or others who heal, Leo plays like a true tank. His ability to use disposable allies means he can soak up damage better than anybody else in the game. This not only helps his survivability, but also allows him to get other things done without caring much about opportunity attacks. And that does it for today's episode about Leo Anderson. Before I go, I did want to quickly thank everybody here who watches my videos. The channel's growing very quickly, and it's because of you guys. Thank you so much. And I also wanted to thank Mythos Busters and those on their Discord channels, because they've been really great in allowing me to post whenever I upload a video, as well as the Facebook and Reddit communities for all their support and just being generally awesome. Also a shout out to the great podcast Drawn to the Flame, and the YouTube channels Whisper in Darkness and Arkham Chronicle, as well as the Atlas Agency. They're all great. I truly believe the Arkham Horror LCG community is the best and most welcoming community anywhere. You're all my friends. And as always, like, share, and subscribe if you like the video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. And as per usual, I'm your daddy. Peace out.